So last night was the season finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian, and I watched it as soon as it debuted at 3 a.m. here on the East Coast. And I want to give my personal opinion and thoughts on this overall season finale and the season as a whole. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are finding me for the very first time, please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. You don't have to subscribe, but that thumbs up button, that means a lot. If you subscribe, I'll just count that as a bonus. But anyway, guys, I stayed up last night. Well, actually, I didn't stay up. I got home from work, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to stay up and watch the season finale of The Mandalorian. And I have to be honest with you, when I got done watching it, I felt it was a little lackluster. I felt a little disappointed, and I went to Facebook and I kind of expressed how I feel. I had some kind of whack job come out and say I was wrong for having an opinion, even though I liked other episodes that he felt were worse than that. I mean, opinions, everybody has them, you know what I mean? But I think as a season finale, this season finale was the weakest out of the 3 that we got. I just feel like they could have left it on some kind of like banger, not necessarily a reveal, but something just like, oh my God, can't wait for next season. And the way I left with this episode was, they don't have to do a season 4. They literally wrapped up everything. It was like the perfect ending. The Mandalorians are rebuilding Mandalore. Grogu, now Din Grogu, he's now the adopted son of Din Djarin. Like, they're off doing their own little thing now. They're happy ever after. Like, they literally ended this where we don't have to do a season 4. Like, it's just done. And I wish they would have gave a little bit more meat and potatoes on, okay, what's next? Because I feel like there were some story threads that were established throughout the season that we didn't necessarily get anything resolved on. Like, the biggest thing was Grogu being saved during Order 66, where we see Ahmed Best's character come and rescue Grogu, but they leave on a Naboo cruiser. So what happens when they get to Naboo? Do they go to Naboo? Like, what happens there? What happens to like I want to know this stuff, And I feel like that's just in any other television show, any other series, by the end of the season finale, all threads are tied up, and then you move to the next season. Or if they're not tied up, you bring them up again, leaving them fresh in people's mind to go into next season. And I feel like they just didn't do that. The whole Order 66 thing, it was a great flashback, but they never went through with the entire process of, okay, what happened then? How did he end up where he was in the first season when Mando first discovered him? Another thing that I really feel like they kind of either just skipped over or just kind of glossed over completely was the whole freeing of Moff Gideon when he got free from the cruiser. Like he was being transported to prison, and he was free. We see the one pilot from the New Republic comes. He sees the Beskar, fragment the thing, and he's like, the Mandalorians, and then it just cuts, and we don't even cut back to that. And then it just shows Din Djarin showing up to him, and everything's like cool, hunky-dory, everything like, hey, thank you for taking care of Moff Gideon. Oh, no problem. You knew you were going to have to do something eventually. But yeah, sure, buddy. Hey, I want to join you, kind of like, I want to be a bounty hunter for the New Republic. Like, that's the way it ended, right? They never went back to it. The entire time I'm watching going, man, one of these Mandalorians is a spy to help free Moff Gideon. Now, maybe you can tie that into, well, Moff Gideon had Beskar, so maybe, someone he was working with just freed him. That's fine. But that was never really explained whatsoever. They never really explained how he was set free. We know the chick who's an imperialist that works over in the New Republic on Coruscant. We know she has a lot to do with that. But we never really got any information on how he escaped. We just get a fragment of Beskar. Dun dun dun, and then it leaves you on a cliffhanger. Meanwhile, I'm suspecting everybody, and I'm not the only one doing it. There's people online, expecting to see the Armorer, a spy. Is Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan gonna turn? Is she the spy? I thought homeboy that flew up and left them all stranded, I thought he was the spy. So I think it was just very, very sloppy storytelling because they really didn't pay that off, and they kind of just glossed over it like, well, he has Beskar. There was Beskar in there. He didn't free himself, okay? Someone had to fly in there, and free him. But I digress on that point. And the other point that I had was, when we left the last episode, we see Din Djarin get separated from the rest of the people, the rest of the Mandalorians, and he's being held captive. And we see where Paz Vizsla has to sacrifice himself against the Persian guards and all that stuff. And we see Bo-Katan cut the hole and everybody escape. Within that hole was Grogu. Like, he ran out too. Like Bo-Katan's like, go, you gotta go. There was literally a shield, a blast shield. Like, everything was like, they were separated. So how in this episode, he's no longer with Bo-Katan, he's literally like 5 feet behind Din Djarin to save Din Djarin. Like, they were literally separated by a force field. Like, they were literally, and they went in the opposite direction. Right, he left. You know, the guards came out. Paz Vizsla was fighting all this stuff, and Bo-Katan left, and Grogu was separated. He went out with Bo-Katan, but yet in this episode, it's like, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. It was almost like in Game of Thrones where Arya leaves on the white horse, and their next episode, she's just walking through King's Landing, looking at the wreckage. Like, did you just leave on the white horse at the end of the last episode? You know? So it just doesn't make sense. Grogu leaves, and then he's with Bo-Katan, and then very next episode, he's 5 feet away from Din Djarin to save him, even though they were separated by blast shields. And it's just, to me, it's just sloppy storytelling. And that's sort of my theme for the entire season. I think there's been some really good episodes this season, and I think there's been some episodes that have not been so great, to say the least. I really do not dislike the Lizzo Jack Black episode as much as other people do, but I definitely think it's not the highlight of the season, and I do think there was episodes like that really bring down the season as a whole. I think when I look back at this season, I think of potential. There was a lot of potential. The story was absolutely there. They had a lot of story, a lot of really good ideas, but I feel like everything was just kind of scattershot. There was no organization for how they were supposed to do things, right? We see the very first 2 episodes I really enjoyed, but then we get to the Doctor episode, then we get to the episode after that, and I feel like those episodes could have been split into one episode, or they could at least been cut up and put out throughout the season. I don't think we needed a full 50-something minutes of the Doctor getting his brain wiped for no reason whatsoever. You look back at that episode now, and that is the most pointless episode. That all could have been done in little 10-minute segments throughout 3 or 4 different episodes. Same thing with episode 4. Same thing with the Lizzo Jack Black episode. I think those 3 episodes stand out as the weakest. I do not think this finale is the weakest of the episodes this season. I just think when it comes in terms of wrapping up everything, all the points that I made prior to this just kind of let me disappointed. And the title of the episode was The Return. So I'm sitting there going, oh shit, like Thrawn's gonna show up. We're gonna see Thrawn show up at the end. It's the return of Thrawn. No, it's just really the Mandalorians returning to Mandalore. But when you're sitting there going like, oh man, you know, and you could blame me for having expectations, but when you ended season 2 with Luke mother effing Skywalker, I mean, you kind of set the bar for me to have high expectations, you know? So I don't really want to be blamed that, oh man, you have too many high expectations. You had Luke mother effing Skywalker in the season finale. You had him and Ahsoka in Book of Boba Fett. So when you sit there and talk about Thrawn last episode, and then you title this episode The Return, I don't want to be accused of having high expectations when you pretty much set me up to have those expectations. Overall, season 3 is not a total waste, right? I actually really enjoyed more episodes than episodes I didn't enjoy. I think it's a very, very solid season. I think the story overall, going through all the episodes, the overarching story was fantastic. I just think it wasn't executed right. And I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have to realize this isn't the Clone Wars. This isn't Rebels. You cannot do live action shows like you do a cartoon series. You can get away with a lot of that when it comes to cartoon series. But when it comes to live action, you have to step up your game. There are too many great series out there. Too many great, whether we're talking about Stranger Things, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, you know, and that's just a couple. That's just, you know, to name a few. There are other series out there that can prove that that you can structure these things differently. So I don't want to use the excuse it's low budget, it's Disney Plus, because that's not an excuse. That's a cop out, if anything. That is a cop out. So I definitely think that Lucasfilm, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni really need to sit down and maybe get some television writers in their studio to help them structure out television, because you can't do what you did for Clone Wars and Rebels in live action. We now had a disappointing reaction to both the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, which I liked, but the structure was really, really bad, and now Mando season 3. We were okay with it with season 1 and season 2 because it's the first ever live action Star Wars. But now we're getting a few years in. You kind of really need to start stepping up your game. Get some talented television writers out there and learn how to structure your story, and I think you'll be set for whatever you decide to do next. I'm still looking forward to Ahsoka. I have high hopes for Ahsoka, but not going to lie, after seeing this episode, I'm a little disappointed with what I saw in the season finale of Mandalorian Season 3. But that is just my thoughts, guys. I want to know what you guys think. I know I rambled on for quite a bit here, but I am very passionate about Star Wars, and I'm very passionate about The Mandalorian. I want to know what you guys think. Leave those comments in the comment box below. Smash that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next time. Later.